A really important second half for Jim Harbaugh and, of course, his Chargers. Now, the interesting thing that came out of last night's game is that the Bengals now have a path to the playoffs.
The Bengals!
All right, so this is what has to happen if the Bengals are going to make the playoffs. And I think they would have to overtake the Chargers. And the way they have to do that is they have to win this weekend against the Browns. And then next week, they play the Broncos. I mean, they'd have to take over
the Broncos, yes.
And then next week, they play the Broncos. They'd have to beat the Broncos. And then going into the last week of the season, the Bengals would be 8-8. The Broncos would be 9-7. The Broncos play the Chiefs. The Bengals play the Steelers. If the Bengals beat the Steelers and the Broncos lose to the Chiefs, the Bengals would get the number 7 seed in the AFC.
And that's, you know what they say, team you don't want to play.
Well, yeah, I would say, yeah, you don't
team you don't want to play.
Unless you're the opposing quarterback.
Well, that's true, because they put up a million points.
Huge numbers. But I also would say this, that, there's always – it's 17 games, and it would be amazing if the Bengals actually made it. Given what they've been through and how they have played.
I've been dead and buried 4 times already.
It's unbelievable. So they do have a chance, and that chance will live as long as they beat the Browns this Sunday. They beat the Browns, then they play the Broncos. So it will live until they play the Broncos.
Right. So I don't know exactly what happened there. I've been following the quarterback situation much in Cleveland outside of Jameis Winston's.
Dorian Thompson.
Yeah. So I was just going to say. So they got a hyphenated guy in there this week.
They're just throwing guys out there.
Yeah. I mean,
there's
there's never been a good hyphenated quarterback ever. Right. There's never been a guy who's had hyphens in his name who's played well at the quarterback position. Never.
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
It's just not going to happen. It's just one of those things. Like if you come into the league with a hyphen, like you got to be really good to be remembered. I can't. Well, who's the best hyphen player? I can't even tell you. Is it the guy like Josh Hines Allen now, who had to put a hyphen into Hines Allen to be separated from Josh Allen? Josh Allen could be him.
Huh?
Maurice Jones-Drew. Actually, he probably is it. He's probably it. But the point is that if you're playing against a guy with a hyphen in his last at quarterback, you're winning. You're killing him. That guy's going to stink.
Well, he was still Cleveland and Cincinnati, and you never know about those games. Believe me, I was in those games on both sides of it.
Oh, yeah.
The favorite getting beat or the underdog winning. So I know that's a little bit more intense. But, again, late in the season, long season, the Bengals probably feel like, when they go to work today that they got a chance. They're sitting there watching this game last night knowing exactly what had to happen in order for them. And then, of course, at halftime, you have the free kick right there by the Chargers, which, we don't see very often. The last one, I think, was 1976.
Yeah, so right before halftime, it was a 57-yard field goal.
Yeah, from the 47-yard which was the line of scrimmage because it was a penalty. So
right,
there was
off a tee. Right. I mean,
it wasn't off a tee.
He did hold it. He did hold it. Okay, all right. He did hold it. Yeah,
and it's from the line of scrimmage.
It's crazy.
I think Al Michaels initially thought that they had to line up in field goal formation.
They didn't have to.
They had 7 yards. No, it's a free kick. It's a wide open free kick, and it's a play that actually you practice. I remember practicing it pretty much 12 out of the 14 years that I played. We practiced it.
Yeah, and you wonder how many more field goals would be made if you could just do that with no snap and no rush and just guys just kicking. Because, when you talk about, he was making it from 70 yards in warm-ups. Okay, warm-ups.
Good. A free kick right there. That would, if you had, like, the kid that kicks for Dallas.
Yeah, Aubrey,
you could probably do it from your own 40-yard line with him.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, well, indoors especially.
Yes.
I mean, that was a weird one.
It was an amazing thing to watch last night. And the other amazing thing to watch last night, I'm telling you, this Karl Anthony Towns went off last night.
Yeah, I mean, that was, of course, you got DiVincenzo and Randall in the storyline and Karl Anthony Towns and this
Karl
team.
Anthony Towns didn't miss a three-point shot last night.
It was a laugher. It was a laugher. They beat him up. Of course, it wouldn't have meant much if you had like a Timberwolves win and people would have maybe made a big deal out of it. You're a Nets fan or a Celtics fan, would have laughed at the Knicks. The Knicks did the exact opposite of that. I mean, they wiped the floor with that team, and Towns was the star. I mean, and there's nothing about the Knicks that scares me outside of health at this point. Like, I know they'll be a better defensive team in the postseason. They're going to score. It's just staying healthy.
Well,
That's really it.
They'll get Mitchell Robinson back in January. You see who started last night?
Yeah, I know. Precious.
Yeah.
I know.
See,
listen.
when you need an uptick, you need a little attitude adjustment. Throw Precious Achua out.
He's like
there.
smelling salts.
I'm telling you,
in a way, get your senses going, get you going.
I'm all about that, man. Give
you know
the
what
guy
I'm
a couple
loving?
Starts. What?
You know what's going on right now?
What's going on?
I see. I know exactly what's going on.
What's going on?
Fleegs. Al probably doesn't know what's going on, but Fleegs probably knows what's going on. You know what's going on here? Yeah, if you know Boomer, you know what's going on. He is discarding the Rangers, and he's focusing on the Knicks.
I will never discard the Rangers.
But all right,
I will never
not your
discard the Rangers.
fandom,
No,
but
no,
this year you're now saying, hey, you know what? We stink. We don't have a shot. Now I'm going to move my attention to the good team in the Garden. That's what's going on
I've been
here.
paying attention to the good team. I've been paying attention to the Knicks. Of course I have been.
I know you've been paying attention, but just a little bit more now.
I will tell you this. If there's a Ranger game and a Knick game on at the same time, I'm watching the Ranger game. No matter what. No matter what.
You're starting to transition, though.
No, I'm
a
not
little bit more.
transitioning to anything.
You're starting to transition.
Hey, Al, don't be shaking your head like you're agreeing with him.
He's transitioning.
Right, we're starting to see some clothes in your closets a little. You're transitioning.
I don't think I've transitioned into anything.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the first time I can remember that you did a sharp turn from football to the Knicks in the Open. It's usually a sharp turn from football to the Rangers.
No, I had to because last night was important. I mean, last night was an important game. Going back against Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, I wanted to see that.
It's okay.
You're allowed. Fine. Stop.
You're allowed to come on over.
You got to stop accusing me of something that's not happening.
I'm telling you, I could. I mean, I was like, another thing that was going to happen. I was like, here we go with Kako and the Kraken. I thought you were going to go back to that, and you went Karl Anthony Towns. I was like, what do we got here?
Kako and the Kraken are in the rearview mirror.
He said so are the Rangers this year because we got the Knicks now. That's what's going on. I mean, it's sort of like, when I talk about being activated as a Vikings fan, like you're getting activated as a Knicks fan. You are.
I have been activated since last year, and when they brought in Jalen Brunson, or was that two? That was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they finally started making some of the right decisions, and legitimately, Karl Anthony Towns could be in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, I mean, he's played.
He's ridiculous.
He's played that well.
Last night, he didn't miss a 3-point attempt. He was 5 for 5 last night.
He went back home and showed up and showed out.
I think the Knicks should play all their games up there.
Yeah,
if he's going to shoot like that.
Man, I'm telling you, if it weren't for the Knicks, I mean, I'd be just about with everybody else and not paying attention to the NBA. But since they're good and since they have a shot, like I'm into them. I couldn't sit there. Like I won't sit there and watch any out-of-market basketball games, but
they're unwatchable.
Exactly. But when your team's good, this is the whole point about every time we talk about these commissioners and trying to tweak the game and in the NBA Cup and blah, 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 and the golden at-bat rule. The thing that gets people to the TVs is your local market having a chance. And sometimes that waters down the whole product. Like the parity in the NFL, and you feel like maybe there isn't a great team like there used to be, but there's a lot more teams that have a chance.
You know what I think they should do? I think they should remove the 3-point line.
Oh, here we go.
For the first three. What do you mean, here we go?
You need rule changes now? You're doing that?
3-point line for the first 3 quarters of the game. And then reinstate it in the fourth quarter. How's that?
Yeah, I was thinking about getting rid of the backboard. What do you think about that? Just totally get rid of the backboard.
I mean, the 3-point shot has ruined the game. And I can't tell you how many guys I've listened to in interviews talking about how the analytics guy, it's not even a coach. An analytics guy comes up to a guy in practice and says, you just got to keep shooting those threes. You just got to keep shooting those threes. Don't back off those threes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's maddening.
It's like the home run in baseball and the uppercut swing and launch angle and all of that stuff. It's the same thing. It's
I
the
don't
same
know
deal.
if it's the same thing. I kind of feel like, the batter has got to hit the pitch. There's another person involved. If these guys come down, nobody's playing defense, and they're just hoisting up threes.
Well, it's the same thing in the sense from the analytics standpoint where people are like, listen, the home run, we got to get the home run. You get that ball out, and that changes everything. And when we hit X amount of home runs, we win X amount of games. So change your swings. So you have a better chance of hitting a home run. Analytics people in basketball.
Are you okay?
I had to burp.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm good now.
All right.
They're like, hey, 3-pointers. 3's more than 2. You make a bunch of 3s, we win games.
I know.
That's what happens.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah, it is brutal. But you're with the Knicks now.
I am because
you're
they're
right
winning.
There. Yep, because they're winning.
And Karl Anthony
like
Towns
them.
actually didn't miss any 3-point shots.
No, he did not. No, he did not. As you pointed out, it's been fun. It's been any fears that anybody had as Knicks fans he was going to come in here and change the attitude of the team, or the softness label that he had been labeled with for a very long time. We've seen none of that so far. None of it. So it's a great thing.
I think it's a fantastic thing that we legitimately have. I mean, he and OG and Brunson are supposed to be difference makers, and all three are.
Yeah.
I mean, all three are. They're all paid to be difference makers.
Yeah, and good thing, because we won't have the Rangers in the playoffs. We'll be able to talk about the Knicks in the spring.
All right, so we got about 50 games left to go. I mean, I think you just need to calm down. I mean, I'm upset.
I mean, nobody is torpedoing their way to the bottom of the standings like the New York Rangers are.
I am as upset as any other Ranger fan out there about what the hell we have witnessed over the last 6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And there's a million reasons why this happened. And, there's one person who controls the entire franchise. That's the general manager, who may be being told what to do by the ownership of the Garden again. I don't know. But, this thing has been mismanaged into an oblivion right now.
Yeah, so when they're out, you'll have the Knicks, which is good, because many years when the Rangers were down, you didn't have the Knicks, and now you have the Knicks when they're missing the playoffs.
I had season tickets when I got the letter. We're trading this one. We're trading that one. We're moving on. And all of those guys that we traded went on to win Stanley Cups.